WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name's John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems. And a few weeks ago, I talked about the Kia EV6. The Kia EV6 is a great electric car. It happened to be the GT version, which makes it ridiculously fast as any Porsche from 0 to 60 miles an hour. But Kia, in its wisdom, I guess, decided not to include a charging cable with the vehicle. And I asked the people from Kia about it, and they had kind of a weird answer. They said, well, we want people to either charge at home with their own charging stations, or we want them to experience public charging. Well, experiencing public charging isn't always that much fun. I charged one day at a level 2 charging. It was really slow, and it's one thing when you have something to do and you can leave your car for 3 or 4 hours and charge up. It's another thing when you have to, you want to go someplace. So home charging is a good solution. But I've seen some home charging cables that come with electric vehicles, and typically they're convenience chargers. They're 120 volt regular, runs off a 15 amp circuit, and that can be a little bit of a time consumer. Not too bad if it's a plug-in hybrid vehicle, but being able to have a variety of charging cables can make life much easier. And with us is Michael Boehm. He is the general manager of Juice America, and you guys came out with something called the J Plus Booster, which is sort of a Swiss Army knife of charging cables, right?
Good morning, John. Yeah, that is correct. We came out with the J Plus Booster exactly for the reason that you were mentioning before, that some of the electric cars don't really come with a charger, leaving people pretty much stranded when it comes to charging solutions.
And one of the things is, you kind of look overall at when you look at how these different various, cables are made and so forth. The first thing I noticed about this product is how well constructed it was, how the connections snap together. This is a very well made, highly engineered product.
I appreciate that. It is, and it was our goal. We did not want it to make just a other cheap charging cable that you will have to throw away in 2 years because it's broken. But we wanted to make something that's really very solid, something that has value, something that will last for years. And that's why we went with quite a unique design. So the housing of our charger is a mil-spec aluminum housing, which makes it 6,600 pounds crush-proof, so you can run over even with the heaviest EVs and nothing will happen to that cable. We are using aerospace type of connectors that are fully IP67 waterproof, so it doesn't matter if you use it inside, if you use it outside, if you hose it down with your pressure washer, if you have it laying in a puddle while you're charging, it will charge.
Yeah, I was really impressed with. I was reading some of the waterproof characteristics, and very impressive with that. Let's back up a little bit. Your company, tell us about the company in general, and again, you decided to come up with this sort of all-in-one charging system. But tell us how it all started. Tell us about the company a little bit.
Absolutely. Our founder, Christoph Erni, is in Switzerland. He was one of the first guys in Switzerland that put in an order for a Tesla. And after patiently waiting for about 3 years until the Tesla finally got delivered, he noticed he can't charge because, as you might know, in Europe, basically every country has a different plug. So the plug that was provided with the charger did not fit the Swiss outlets. He said, well, that's not very smart. So he made an adapter that would allow him to charge, with the result that he melted the outlet in his garage. So I thought, now this requires some action. And he and three other people, they got together and back in 2013 made the first charging cable. Fast forward, they came then out with the first generation of Juice Booster, which was kind of a square box, but already had a similar concept as the J Plus Booster now, that you should have one charger that would allow you to charge wherever you go, whatever outlet that you find. So he came up with a solution of having different adapters. Obviously, in Europe, basically different adapter for the different countries. Here in the United States, different adapters for the different outlets you're finding here that will allow you to, whatever you have, to charge as quickly as possible.
And one of the things I noticed about this, and it was something that I actually mentioned to somebody with an electric vehicle one time, they were charging at their house with a conventional 120 volt charging cable, and I noticed the plug was a plug that had sort of the horizontal slot, and I said, well, this is a 20 amp circuit. You know, if you're able to, you may find that there are some charging adapters that will let you charge a little bit faster, and this comes included in the kit, which means all of a sudden now you're charging from a 15 amp circuit to a 20 amp circuit, which really does improve the charging time quite a bit off a 120 volt outlet.
It sure does. I mean, if from a regular 15 amp outlet, you're looking at about 30 hours of charging until your car is from completely empty to full. It cuts it down to about 22 hours of charging, which still is slow, but it's an incredible improvement.
Yeah, it is. And if you're depending on where you live and maybe where your car is garage, you might have a 240 volt outlet in a garage for something like a washing machine or air conditioner unit or something that you could unplug. You could plug this unit in because of the variety of adapter cables, and all of a sudden now you're charging at a much higher rate, at a level 2 rate, which you can do without having a big charging box on the side of the house somewhere.
Exactly, and that's actually the goal. You know, almost everybody having an EV will install a NEMA 1450, so 50 amp outlet in the house or outside the house, which will allow you to charge with 9.6 kilowatts. So your average car battery will be fully charged in about 4 to 5 hour time span. What do you?
Go ahead.
What are you doing when you go somewhere, when you go and visit some relatives? If you have somewhere a cabin out in the woods, if you're going to an Airbnb, and that's really the beauty of our product. So it can be your everyday charger at home. There is nothing faster than this charger that is plugged in. If you want to go faster, you have to hardwire it, which is a lot more expensive to do it. So this charger can be your everyday charger. It gives you the maximum power at home, and then when you're going somewhere, you just put it in a carry-on case, you take it with you, and whatever outlet you will find at your destination, you will be able, again, to charge there with the maximum speed.
That's a really good point. I hadn't really thought about that, but like you just mentioned, Airbnb. So many people use Airbnb today. In fact, where I am right now, the house across the street is an Airbnb rental. It rents typically every week, sometimes even a little bit more often. And I do remember one time there was somebody who was there with an electric vehicle, and they were wondering where there was an electric vehicle charging station nearby, and unfortunately it's either you go 20 miles in one direction for level 3 or you go 10 miles in the other direction for level 2, and then if you go to level 2, the nearest one's kind of a pain because it's at a public parking ride, so there's really nothing you can do once you're there. You're sort of stuck there, so you kind of have to bring your car there, get dropped off, and then pick it up 8 hours later, which doesn't make any sense. But with something like this, whatever the outlet is that's on the corner of the house that somebody might use to, run an electric fan or hedge trimmers or whatever they're going to use, you could plug in and at least maintain the battery. You might not be able to fully charge it, but at least you're going to be able to get it back if you're just doing day-to-day short distance trips.
Exactly. And it's a little bit more than maintaining the battery because, usually when you go somewhere at a place like this, you are staying, 2 days, 3 days, and that gives you ample time to top up your battery to increase your range. Same thing for campgrounds, for example, Most of the campgrounds have TT30 outlets. And we have a TT30 adapter that will allow you to basically fully charge your car in 15 hours. So it's really very, very versatile.
Yeah, I suppose you see those same kind of outlets at. I've seen them at campgrounds. I've seen them, I've actually seen them in marina parking lots, which I always thought was a little bit funny. But I guess they run the cable from the parking lot down to the boat to charge up that way, but same idea. So you have this ability to get, to use the name of your company. You get more juice to the car, which is exactly what you're doing. Yeah,
absolutely. As an additional advantage, for people that are snowbirds, you do not have to invest in 2 chargers. You can use the same charger up in the north in summertime, and you take the charger with you when you come down here to us in Florida in wintertime. You don't have to invest in 2 chargers. Additionally, you're not leaving your charger at the other location unattended, so somebody could vandalize it or use it unauthorized, et cetera, So there are a lot of advantages.
Yeah, I have. In fact, that came up. I think it was out in the Phoenix area that people were stealing the cords off of chargers because there's enough copper in it that I guess it makes it worthwhile. So you're right. To be able to just roll it all up and put it in the case it comes with and bring it with you, and you may find that it just makes life that much easier. And if you're traveling, like you said, from up north to down south, and you're staying at relatives' homes, maybe on the way, you're stopping in Virginia or something at a relative's house, and you're like, oh, I need someplace to charge my car, and you see an outside outlet, all of a sudden now you can charge it up because you brought your cable with you, where to somebody who wouldn't have the need for it, but all of a sudden it makes your life that much easier. And it's your whole kit, which comes very nicely packaged in sort of a zipper case, doesn't take up a lot of room, and people might be imagining, well, am I bringing a whole charging station with me? No, you're just bring a cable and some adapters with you. It makes it nice and easy.
Correct. Yeah, we try to keep it as compact as possible, and there's still enough space in that case to put additional adapters in it when you need them. In the base set, we have included the 2 most common adapters, the NEMA 515, which is just your regular household outlet, and then the NEMA 1450 is what would you usually install in your garage for charging your car. All the other adapters, for not making the kit more expensive than it has to be, can be bought as accessories so that you can really add the adapters that you need.
And speaking of adapters, here in North America now we're going to the Tesla style adapter or Tesla style plug, I guess, in a lot of manufacturers. Can this be easily adapted to that? Can you just buy an adapter that people at Tesla users are using now that can go from this style adapter to the new North American standard?
That is correct. I mean, right now Tesla owners, they're all using the Type 1 plug or J1772 plug that we're using right now to the Tesla. So they are adapters for that. But we are also in the process of developing a new unit that will have directly the Tesla plug on it. Will be probably available Q1 of next year.
Oh, that's good to know. And the idea that you can use this for pretty much anything is just, to me, is pretty amazing how it all works. And the digital display on the unit, you when you plug it in, you have an idea. Am I going to have a problem because maybe this outlet isn't grounded properly, or what the amperage. Looking at the LEDs, and the idea that also that the unit itself is, like you pointed out, it is built with aerospace principles. So, yeah, exactly.
It's plug and play. You do not need to download any apps. You're not dependent on having Wi-Fi or having Bluetooth. It is plug and play. but it has a display on the charger itself that with, as you said, with LEDs indicates the status. So green LEDs will tell you exactly with how many amps you're charging. Red LEDs will be telling you if there is an issue. And it's not like with some other chargers where you have to look at your manual to decipher some Morse codes because 3 times blinking means that, 4 times blinking means this. No, the LED will indicate directly where the issue is, if the issue is with the charger, if you have a problem with the outlet, if you have a problem with the vehicle, etc. At the same time, you also have a select button there. So when you attach a adapter to the booster, it will automatically set the maximum amperage that this outlet is able to give. Now, some of the electricians, they have no problem putting a 50 amp outlet in a house and only have it covered with a 40 amp breaker. And obviously, if you're trying to pull the force, then you will trip the breaker. No problem with our charger. What you do is with the select button, you can actually downgrade your amperage and keep the breaker from tripping. So if you are going to a cabin that maybe has a little bit of iffy wiring because your Uncle Earl, nothing against Uncle Earl, was doing the wiring himself, you're still going to be able to charge without tripping the breakers. The adapters themselves, they have a heat sensor in the plug, making sure that if there is a problem, if the outlet is heating up too much, it will interrupt the charging process.
So safety is a priority when this was built as well.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, if you go to Juice World, you can find the units there, but the units are also available on Amazon and other sites as well, right?
They are available on Amazon, exactly. They're also available if you go on the jplusbooster.com, everything written out, jplusbooster. You get them there directly on our site. You find them on Walmart, you find them on different outlets, absolutely.
And what I liked about it too, when I was reading about it, is your website has a lot of really helpful information. So you really kind of learn about it before you decide you want to go out and buy it. And you've in the kind of question answer portion of this, you guys did a really good job of, how long's the cable, how well is it made, how much does it weigh, what amperage is there, very, very well put together. And I think for people that are interested, if they go to that jplusbooster.com website, they're going to learn an awful lot about it before they decide, if this is the right charger for them or charger cable for them. Like you pointed out, it works with all battery electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids with that J1772 connector, which is terminology 10 years ago no one ever heard of, but now everybody seems to be pretty comfortable with that. So the idea that there's no installation required, plug it in and let it charge up the battery just makes it work that much better.
Correct, and we really want to help people to understand the process because it is new for all of us. A lot of the dealerships, they know frighteningly little about charging. It also seems that for a lot of dealerships, charging is not really an issue. Their main goal is to sell a car. And so I'm trying to tell dealership, why do you let people go home without knowing if they really can charge or not? So they should provide information on how to charge a car. They should provide a charger that will allow somebody to charge a car, whatever the circumstances are. If you have made your homework and you have a NEMA 1450 outlet in your garage, perfect. You can already charge at full speed. But if you don't worry. You have a way to charge your car. You're not going to be stranded.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is the idea of convenience makes it that much better. I was talking to sort of legendary in automotive radio, Ray Magliozzi from formerly of Car Talk on National Public Radio, and I was talking to him the other day, and he said something about an electric vehicle, and he doesn't have charging at his house, although he has enough power at his summer house that he could certainly put that in. But he said one day he drove to a cigar store, stayed there, smoked, $20 worth of cigars, I guess, and then while he was charging up an electric car, and found out that the distance to get from his house to the cigar store and back pretty much used up all of his charge that he put into the vehicle. So the idea of having a versatile charging cable makes a whole lot of sense. So it really is good. So if people want to learn more about this, jplusbooster.com, or you can Google Juice World. You come up with a lot of information there too. Michael, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your Sunday and joining us on the Car Doctor program. This is very informative.
Well, I really appreciate you having me. It was a true pleasure talking to you.
It's great. And next week, we're going to be talking to somebody who owns a electric car dealership. They sell just used electric vehicles, and their job, like yours, is to help educate the public. They don't want to send people home without knowing if they can charge up their vehicles or not. So it seems like this all kind of blends in together. So, Michael, I want to thank you for helping us inform everybody. This is great, and keep up the good work, and we'll talk again soon, maybe.
Thank you, sir. It will be my pleasure.
All right,
Thanks
take care. Bye-bye. We need to take a break and pay some bills. My name's John Paul. This is a Car Doctor program. If you would like to join us and talk about electric cars or any kind of car or any kind of car problem, our phone number is 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. We'll be right back.
AAA is with you at every moment in your life. They have 24/7 roadside assistance, which covers you in any car you're driving or riding in, even a rental or your friend's wheels. They have great member rates on home and auto insurance, savings on travel, hotels, and rental cars, and discounts on hundreds of your favorite brands. You're covered on and off the road. Learn more at aaa.com/join.
This is Dan Cloutier.
And this is Kim Jennings.
We're from Birch Bear Records. Tune into Twilight Showcase Radio.
Hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James.
On 95.9 WATD and 95.9WATD.com.
Search for Twilight Showcase on Facebook and visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tomorrow night from 7 to 9 on 95.9 WATD. Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program. And something that isn't an electric vehicle is the Nissan Pathfinder. And I had the opportunity to drive this a bit. It's a pretty formidable vehicle. It was all new for 2022, and they called it, Nissan had kind of interesting words for it. They said it's return to rugged. For the 2023 model year, Pathfinder continues its vision with the off-road inspired Rock Creek model. It's designed for drivers with the desire to venture away from the pavement onto roads less traveled, powered by a 3.5-liter direct injection V6 engine, rated at 284 horsepower, 259 pound-feet of torque. The Rock Creek is actually comes up just a little bit, I guess, 295 horsepower, I guess. So if you use premium fuel, so you can gain a little bit of horsepower, not a lot. Sometimes going from regular to premium, you can gain 10%, not quite as much in this case. The engine's paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission designed to maximize both on and off-road performance. In the Northeast, most of the Pathfinders will most likely be equipped with Nissan's intelligent four-wheel drive system that provides increased traction, and it makes four-wheel drive easy. It's, there's a setting for sport, eco, snow, sand, mud, ruts, and towing. Pathfinder can tow up to 3,500 pounds with standard capacity, 6,000 pounds on the Rock Creek, providing you have the right towing package to go along with it. Like most vehicles today, there's plenty of technology. Every Pathfinder grade features something called Nissan Safety Shield, a 360-degree. A suite of technology includes automatic emergency braking, pedestrian detection, blind spot warning, automatic forward braking, rear braking, high beam assist. You get the whole idea. You get a lot of safety stuff in this. Also, traffic sign recognition. So, if you're got the cruise control on and speed limit drops from 70 to 55, and there's a sign for it, it'll slow it down a little bit. Standard Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, which is kind of nice. Wireless device charger, which is nice. If you have a phone that doesn't require a charging cable, just dropping it in there is a nice thing to have. Bose 13-speaker premium audio system is standard on the Platinum models, available on the other ones. And one of my favorite features of the infotainment system, and I talk about this way too much, actual knobs for tuning volume and the idea that you have to go into a system and use a touchscreen or maybe controls on the steering wheel to adjust volume or to change stations is a pain. Put some knobs back in, and Nissan did that, so it was kind of nice to see. There was also a time we talked about cup holders in a vehicle. How many cup holders they had? Did they have 11 cup holders for seven seating. Today we talk more about USB ports and things you can plug other things into. So cigarette lighter plugs, USB connections. There's a bunch on this. There's 6. There's also a 120 volt outlet. I guess to run a real video game or blender at a tailgate or something. I haven't used the 120 volt outlet, with the exception on a Ford hybrid pickup truck where it was actually a 240 volt outlet. Kind of handy to have. The second row seats are they flip forward to provide access to the third row. The third row is still not the easiest thing to get into. I kind of think that this size vehicle, let it seat 5 and get it over with, but it can seat up to 7, so I suppose. Cargo area is decent with all the seats in use. Nissan says it will hold 4 golf bags. Kind of an odd statement for an off-road vehicle, I think, but maybe it should say how many tent pieces it holds or something. Fuel economy is 21 miles per gallon in the city, 27 on the highway, 23 combined. Overall, pretty good economy for a heavy, decent sized vehicle. Bottom line is the Pathfinder from Nissan is a good SUV that competes with the likes of the Kia Telluride and Honda Pilot and Ford Explorer, but not quite, because those vehicles are not really designed for off-road, where this one, with its Rock Creek look at least, seems more off-road-ish. But it's a good SUV, there's no question. Is it a great SUV? I'll let you decide for yourself. Go to your local Nissan dealer, take one for a ride, and see what you think. Where are we going? Jesse says we're going to Robert in Tingsboro, I believe, as soon as my computer wakes up. Yeah, Robert in Tingsboro. Robert, what's going on?
Good morning, John. Hope all is well.
Things are moving along here. It's cooled off a little bit. I don't know about up where you are, but
perfect. Love it.
My wife got up this morning and went, "It feels chilly out. It's only 62 degrees." Yeah,
it was, and I like it.
So we had summer last week, and now we have fall.
Yeah, give it to me anytime.
Yeah.
Anyways, a few weeks ago when we talked, you mentioned the next vehicle was going to be a Maverick. I was just curious. Are you looking for the hybrid, the EcoBoost?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was looking for the hybrid because A, it's cheaper, and I'm cheap, and B, it gets better gas mileage. And if I really do continue this sort of trip back and forth from Massachusetts to Florida, I kind of want something that gets good gas mileage but also has decent storage. So the hybrid is one. So I happen to be talking with the PR person for Ford a week or so ago. And I said to her, "Hey, can you help me be able to get a Maverick?" And she said to me, "A hybrid? Nope. No. Not at all." Yeah, right. She's like, there's like a year and a half wait to get one. And she's like, even trying to order one, try to sneak around the corner and try to do it directly through Ford. Looks like it's going to be quite a ways to get one. So
I'll tell you what, though, the auto banks are still open on the Maverick, but the EcoBoost, whether you get front drive or all-wheel drive, and that's almost 2 weeks tomorrow. And last year and the year before was 5 days. And so what Ford did seemed like it's working. It's slowing down that demand so they can catch up.
Right.
They're still trying to get the 23s out. And in fact, I didn't go for a hybrid thing anyway. They wanted to.
Yeah.
In fact, you mentioned knobs. Yeah, well, you can turn the radio on and off, volume, change the station with knobs, or you have the option of the touchscreen if you like. So they are versatile in that way. And I'm really impressed with mine. I mean, it's probably as quick, if not quicker, than that Hemi-powered Ram was. It's with the weight difference. I was hoping it would be, but that thing gets up there on the highway merging, and I'm loving it.
Yeah,
it's quiet.
they're good. They're good vehicles. In fact, about 4 times a year, I do a program with Jamie Page Deaton. She's actually the editor-in-chief of Car Talk now, but she used to be, and she's also a North American Car and Truck of the Year juror or something. And the guy who sort of does this radio show that we do up in, it's actually Maine National Public Radio. Like I said, we do it about 4 times a year. And the guy who's the producer, I guess, of the show, had a Prius for about, put 200,000 miles on it or something. And he bought a Maverick, and he loves it. He says it's absolutely the best vehicle he's ever owned. He likes the gas mileage. He lives up in Maine, so he wanted something that would be able to haul some stuff if he needed to. He says it's been a really good vehicle for him, and he's been putting some miles on it, and he says it's been.
Yeah.
No, Ford did a really good job with this, and I think what they really did is, and a lot of people have been saying it forever, is there needs to be a smaller truck available to the public. And even though, Chevy had the Canyon and Ford came up with the Ranger Ranger's not much smaller than the original, F-Series pickup trucks.
Right.
The pickup trucks got bigger and the Ranger got bigger. If you look at an old-time Ranger from a bunch of years ago, you're like, well, that was a small truck. Now the new Rangers look like F-150s, if you squint a little bit, where I think the Maverick kind of fits in nicely as a truck that, for somebody who needs a truck, you're not going to carry a ton of concrete in the back of it, but people don't. People go to the, Home Depot and Lowe's and, pick up a cabinet or go somewhere, and the idea to have that little bed available just makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I actually have put some concrete pads in the back of it. Probably had about 1,000 pounds, but, I've got a carpet there. But, and not having the hybrid, I don't expect 40 miles a gallon, but it's getting, 28, 30, depending on how heavy my right foot is. And usually it's heavy.
Yeah. And, to get that kind of mileage, you would never get that you wouldn't get that with a Ranger, and you certainly wouldn't get that with an F-150. F-150 with the, EcoBoost, maybe you'll get 21, 22.
Right.
But you're not going to get close to 30, so.
Yeah, but like I said, I've been pretty happy with it, other than the fact you can compare the original range, mid-80s. This is probably exactly the same size, except it is longer. It's got a 121-inch wheelbase and 200 inches long. But other than that, it does have a lot of similarities to those first Rangers when they were actually compact.
Yeah, I remember when the Maverick first came out, my press association, we had a preview of it. They brought one of the first ones out for us to look at, and they brought both the front-wheel drive hybrid and the all-wheel drive, and people were pretty amazed. And back then when they came out for the very first time, they were saying, before taxes and delivery, you could buy a Ranger for $20,000. Well, you can't quite do that anymore. But on the other hand, it's still a really reasonably priced truck.
Yeah, I priced mine up in a 24 model. It went up $445. What I have and what So the Lariat didn't change much. It's the hybrid and the XL. The XLT not being base engine anymore. Sure, $1,500 jump. That probably turned people off. But it's still cheap if you're not going to get a loaded one. You just want a basic hybrid truck with, a few options.
Yeah. No, it sounds good. I think, Robert, you made absolutely the right decision.
Oh, thanks a lot, John. It's always
All
good
right.
chatting with you.
All right, take
Have a
care.
good day.
Take care. Bye-bye. If you'd like to chat with us, our phone number is 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. If you want to join us, love to see what's on your mind about your car and car problems. Got some weird questions in the mail, and one of them, and we're going to be talking to the folks from Innova. They're the people that make scan tools, and they just recently sent me a new scan tool to try out, and we'll talk to them a little bit about it. It is tablet-based. And the other one I've been getting a lot of questions about, there's a scan tool called from a company called X-Tool. I don't know anything about it other than one of our listeners or readers bought one, and he bought it with the idea because he wanted to get a second key for his car, and the dealer told him it was going to be like $400 to get the key. And when he bought this scan tool for about $500, bought the key online for like $40, and he was able to code his own key fob with it. So that's a company called X-Tool. Innova also makes a pretty good-looking scan tool. I've tried it on a few vehicles so far. I have some questions about it still. Their other scan tool, the 5610, bit more portable one, that one works really well too. So we have a couple more people on the phone here, and let's go to Rusty in Woburn. Rusty.
Hey, good morning. How are you? Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for being there.
Well, actually, I called you guys a few months ago. I'm in general. I have a 2012 Prius with about 220,000 miles on it, and I was hoping to get it to at least 400,000. I just had a few issues come up with it this week, but I just want to share this one issue I had. I took my car, and I have a lifetime alignment deal with one of those tire places.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I brought in for an alignment in a rotation, and all of a sudden, I got a flat, and all of a sudden, AAA's like, hey, you know that your lug nuts are all rusted and they're not locked. I go, what do you mean? So I called the shop back. Oh yeah, there was just an issue there. Like we put replacement lug nuts on. I go, what are you doing? So I ended up just going to the dealership yesterday. I ordered a whole bunch of lug nuts. I'm going to replace all 20 of them in my car tomorrow at my shop. But then to make matters a little more interesting, on Friday I was coming home from work and from Boston, and something bounced off my car. Now it's making this noise. It's driving me nuts. I'll just have my mechanic look at that. But I still think I'm on track to keep this Prius another 400,000 miles. That's what I think.
I don't see why not. I mean, the batteries I've seen.
I have not replaced the battery yet. So
yeah, but I've seen these batteries last about 400,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen them time-wise. I was talking to somebody who had the first generation Prius about a year and a half ago. Finally, the battery failed on it. So, there are some tools that you can kind of get an indication of battery life. We've tested some of them at work. We haven't found them to be super accurate yet. Even the scan tool I was just talking about has the ability to test a high.
I've seen that before. One of my friends tried to get that before. It didn't work. He had to return it because he had an issue, and he was just like that. But I think by the time if this battery ever needs to be replaced, there's so many other conditions. Hopefully you'll be able to get a refurbished one. I know there's a place in Foxborough that replaces. They actually come to your house and change it out too. Carl.
Yeah,
So,
no, there's one there. I think there's a guy up in Lawrence, Leo's Auto Repair, and his son he's all into electric vehicles now. He's been doing some battery replacement, and like you pointed out, they're rebuilt batteries now. There's companies that are taking them apart, changing out the bad cells in them, putting them back together, and you get another 7-8 years out of them. So makes sense.
I know that.
Yeah, and it's I guess it's odd that the tire store would just put some odd lug nuts on and not tell you about it.
Well, no, it's weird because the AAA gentleman said, "Oh, this is what happened." And I said, "Oh, there's been some construction down my neck of the woods."
Yeah.
I ran over something, and I called the contract's actually going to reimburse me for everything because what happened? It's like, yeah, we got an issue. We replaced a couple of roofs. There were some nails going on. You're not the only car that got a flat. And I was like, oh, thank you. But when they told me that, so I called the shop. They're like, yeah, we had a couple new people. I go, well, you know what? That wasn't good to me because those were factory You know,
Right.
I never would have thought a lug nut would have caused so much issue. But then when I talked to the guy at the dealership yesterday, when I ordered the parts, he's like, "Yeah, it happens once in a while." But yeah, it's just stupid though, you know?
Yeah.
Because if something had really happened, then I had had no clue about it.
Yeah, no, it's. I will tell you a story. I was in Florida. I went to go get. We have a Volkswagen we keep in Florida. It's got a big belly pan under it. You got to put it on a lift to change the oil. It's impossible to do.
Right.
And I brought it to a place for an oil change. And a couple days later, I'm like, it seems to be dripping, and the. And I'm like, well, maybe they spilled some oil on the belly pan and it's just waiting to drain off. Well, come to find out, somehow they lost the oil drain plug.
Oh,
And they put in just another one that, fortunately they didn't screw up the threads in the pan, but they put in another one that was leaking. So I brought it back, and somebody else looked at it, and I said, "Hey, what happened here?" And they just kind of went, "Oh, that's Jimmy." And I said, "Well, Jimmy shouldn't be changing oil, And
he shouldn't be there at all.
Yeah. So the next time I went to a AAA approved shop down there, and I actually brought them the factory oil pan drain plug with me. I told the guy the same story, and he goes, "Boy, how do you lose an oil drain plug?" And I'm like, I don't know. And if you did lose it, wouldn't you try everything, even if it went down the oil drain bucket? Wouldn't you throw a magnet in there somewhere and try to pull it out to put the right one back in? The idea that somebody would do that and not say anything about it is even crazier.
Right.
So, yep.
That's what kind of bothers me, because it's a very well-known establishment. I don't want to cause any issues, but it's very frustrating. It's like, really? I have a lifetime alignment too, which is like, I'm not going. Now I'll just pay my mechanic an extra $20 to rotate the tires if that's going to happen again. So,
that to me, I think might be money well spent.
It is. Yeah. It's like you pay $20 not to worry about it again. So.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Rusty, thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Keep up I love the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Let's go to Brad in Nahant. Brad, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Quick question. Great. I'm actually on the way to go look at an SUV for my son today, and it's another Toyota kind of question. A Lexus, 2012 Lexus, with a GX 460, I believe, with a 4.6 liter V8.
Yeah.
Can you tell me your familiarity with the vehicle?
Well, it's an interesting vehicle because it's probably as much of a Toyota as Lexus ever made. It is. I mean, it's certainly a good vehicle, but it's sort of a forerunner, and which makes it a really solid vehicle. The idea that it's got a good solid engine in it. It's a good solid vehicle. But the problem is, you said, what is it? It's a 2012.
Yeah, with 100,000 miles on it.
Well, mileage in that case, 100,000 is pretty much nothing. So I wouldn't be concerned about mileage on it. I'd be more concerned that it's an 11-year-old car and it could have 11-year-old car problems. But I mean, as far as stuff that goes wrong with it, that engine's had some water pump issues. Mechanically, it's had some of the upscale stuff they put in there. Stuff like the navigation unit has had some problems. Air conditioner stuff has had some problems, key fobs, some little stuff. But the transmission, has been solid on it. The engine's been solid on it. So not a lot. I'd be looking, just like every used car, I'd be looking at, things like easy stuff like brake wear, suspension, steering suspension. Has it been previously in a crash? Look really close, get it out in the sunlight, really sight down the car, look to see if, there's panels that are different colors, if, Toyota and Lexus both, does a really good job of lining up all the seams with the car. So you want to look for anything that doesn't look right, like the rear hatch doesn't look like it's even on both sides. The doors look, the same way. Look at the gap in the hood. Make sure everything looks nice and straight. That's going to tell you if it's had previous body damage. Crawl under it a little bit with a flashlight and look for anything that could possibly be leaking, any oil transfer case leaks, stuff like that. this might have a push button start smart key. See if it's got 2 sets of keys that go with it too, to save yourself from having to buy another key.
Oh, awesome points. Is that one of the Toyotas that had the rust issue? The frame restoration thing?
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, anything can, depending on where it came from, but not that I have been aware of with these. These have been pretty solid vehicles all the way around. Sure, you know, same thing. Bring a flashlight with you. Look under there. Look for rust, but not that I'm aware of. I would be concerned if I saw something like brand new undercoating under there. Are they trying to cover something up? But no, there hasn't been. You know, there's been rust on the only place that I remember really rust issues is on that rear hatch. If you open up the hatch where the hinges connect to it, look for rust and corrosion up around there. Some of those literally rotted out with the hinge connected to the body, and I'm not quite sure why that happened, but it would rust out there. The other thing is, I'm always suspicious these days of any used car with the possibility of, was it involved in any kind of flooding or anything, especially up around, especially up around your way. I would look, again, look at stuff.
The car's on a used car lot, and it says it came out of Connecticut. That's the only info I can really tell. Yeah,
they had floods in Connecticut too. So, but I would just, I would look for, open up the doors.
Water damage on something that's been dried really good.
Yeah. Well, open up the doors, slide the seats all the way back, and look for signs of rust and corrosion where the seat brackets actually bolt to the body of the car. That's going to give you kind of a clue. Where the spare tire sits underneath the car, if you really wanted to get ambitious, you could, get up on the other side of the spare tire. A lot of times people get lazy when they're cleaning them up, and they don't look on top of the spare. Pull the air filter out, see if it either looks like it's muddy because it got in the water, or look and see if it's brand new. Maybe it did. Look at any electrical connections where they attach to the body. So like the negative battery cable where it goes down to the to ground. Look and see if there looks like excessive signs of corrosion there. Anything that bolts together that could get rusty could tell you that maybe that was underwater. And the other thing is, your nose is going to tell you a lot about the car too. You open up the car, and if you smell mold and mildew, it might have got wet.
Gotcha. Those are some good indicators there. That was my main concern with it. People trying to pull some water damaged vehicles.
Yep. And even the same thing. Look at the taillights, and if you see condensation in the taillights, moisture might have got up that high and got in there.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, all great points that I considered most of them, but you definitely added a good half dozen things to the punch list.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those vehicles that has been, it's been a solid vehicle because I think it's been a solid vehicle because it they kind of gussied up a Toyota to make it work, and it just, and it just, I think because of that, it did really well. Going back, 6 or 7 years in things like Consumer Reports, highly recommended vehicle as a used car. So I think it's fine. Like I said, the only problem is it's 11 years old, so it could have 11-year-old car problems.
Which would be belts and hoses.
Run the AC, make sure the AC is working. Try out all the accessories. It's funny how, sometimes you don't think about that stuff until after you have the car for a few days, and all of a sudden you find out, the AC is not working, and never believe the story of it just needs a charge. If you go to look at an AC, if you go, because they never just need a charge. There's always something wrong. So if you get to this, and if you get to this dealer and you say, I just want to, I want to check the heat and the air conditioner. I want to run all the windows up and down, make sure everything works the way it should. Open it up and close the tailgate, make sure everything's working the way it should. And if they say to you, the AC is not that good, it just needs a charge. No, there's something wrong with it. Yeah.
And can I have one more quick question
Sure.
on top of the question would be, What if they try to sell me an extended warranty with the thing? One of those, like, 2-year after point-of-sale warranty.
Yeah, I mean, it's been my experience that any extended warranty, and I just had breakfast with the guy who's in charge of extended warranties at AAA. But most extended warranties, once they get past 10 years, and we have some products that we're coming up with too, but they don't really cover that much. I would rather, if they're going to sell, if you're going to spend $2,000 on an extended warranty, take $2,000, take $2,000, put it in the bank. And if you're lucky at the end of 2 years, you got $2,000 in the bank still. And if you're not lucky at the end of 2 years and you had to tap into it to do brake calipers or something, well, you did.
That's a great way of looking at that one.
Yeah. And to my buddy Ted that we went out to lunch with, sorry about that. It probably just killed his sales for the day. But yeah. But we actually do have some great extended warranty products for newer cars, and we even have for some new cars we even have a wheel, tire, and key fob protection that's like half the price that new car dealers sell it for. So there's some good products that we have. But once you get out that long, the insurance companies, which is what a warranty is, they're just hoping you can never collect on it, and they're not going to cover that much because it's an old car at that point. You might be able to go out another, maximum of, 20,000 miles. So maybe you're going to get it to 120,000 or something. But, for that short period of time, have to check the, have the car. Yeah, in my opinion, but yeah. Okay.
All right. I appreciate it so
much. All right. Good luck.
You have a great show, by the way. Great show.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. We need to take another break, pay some bills. My name is John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. If you would like to join us, we have a few minutes left. Give us a call at 781-837-4900. You're listening to Car Doctor on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
AAA is with you at every moment in your life. They have 24/7 roadside assistance, which covers you in any car you're driving or riding in, even a rental or your friend's wheels. They have great member rates on home and auto insurance, savings on travel, hotels, and rental cars, and discounts on hundreds of your favorite brands. You're covered on and off the road. Learn more at aaa.com/join.
It's a grill and chill summer here at WATD. Listen for the sound of the sizzle. When you hear the sizzle, be the correct caller and win prizes from places like Old Hitching Post Restaurant, Six Flags Amusement Park, Fred Astaire Dance Studios, and Plymouth Cinema. We then turn up the heat, as each prize winner is qualified to win a Weber Genesis grill from Hingham Lumber. Keep listening through the grand prize drawing during the South Shore's Morning News on August 18th. It's a grill and chill summer. Brought to you by Hingham Lumber on your station with the sizzle. 95.9 WATD.
Talk radio with a South Shore point of view. Hi, I'm Kevin Chachi. Join me tomorrow for Monday Night Talk, where the South Shore comes to talk. Tomorrow night after the 6 o'clock news here on 95.9 WATD.
Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program. And speaking of other programs, Miles on Motorsports, we're going to be talking to Miles in a couple of weeks, sometime mid-August, I think, about what he's got going on, the kind of motorsports world. Something which I honestly don't follow that closely. I guess because maybe I have like ADD or something. The idea of watching NASCAR, to me, just seems like it takes too long. I prefer drag racing if I have a choice because, well, it takes like 3.5 seconds. And I just find it, to me, it just seems more exciting. But I wanted to talk to him. I've been listening to his commercials for a while. I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk to him about what he's got going on. And I think he had, like we did, we had Dale Quarterly on the program. I think he had Dale on his program about a month ago. And a little sad. Brian Loans, who's been on this program before, posted something on his Facebook page about a kind of legendary drag racing track closed, but another one's going to kind of take over. I think drag racing. I mean, is it good for the environment? Well, it burns up a lot of fuel. It makes a lot of noise. Yeah, but there's something exciting about it. I kind of like it. Somebody wrote to me and they said they have a 2002 Saab convertible with low mileage, very good mechanical shape, except for the soft top. And they say, as you know, Saab is out of business, but life goes on. My problem relates to the top. I was closing it, and suddenly, for no explained reason, the mechanism stopped responding to the operating switch. The local experienced serviceman was able to close the top and the tonneau using the manual method, which is usually like a crank or something, but was unable to diagnose the underlying problems. He does not think the problem is with the motor. Is there anything that repairs these? Is there anyone that repairs these mechanisms? And do you have any idea about what is causing my problem? Bit of a challenge, because this is a pretty complicated top. I think there are about 12 different micro switches to get all of this stuff to work together, and if all those switches don't close when they're supposed to, the top's not going to work. I would go to like Saab forums and look for recommendations in your area and see what there is. Hey, that music means we are out of time for today. I want to thank our guest Michael Boehm from Juice World for calling in, telling us about their charging cable. I think if you own an electric vehicle, it's a good way to go. Until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.